Hi, this is Meg, and I'm here to offer you a wonderful way during this time of being at home to self-care, to get your blood flowing, to get moving. We're going to do what's called meditation in motion, and really what we're doing is we're linking our breath with our movements. So let's first find our breath by taking your hands, wrapping them around your rib cage, and then just take an inhale here, and then an exhale, just feeling into the breath. So this is a very calming way to find your breath, bring your thoughts, your awareness, your focus into your breath, and really linking them together. So take this time to do that. Feeling the breath, filling your rib cage, and then deeply exhaling. Beautiful. So now go ahead, release your hands, and we're going to lengthen our spine. So the way to do that, you're going to feel your hips, both of them, evenly draw towards the earth. And now lift your heart center up and then reach through the crown of your head. So feel your spine long in both directions. And now bring your awareness to your shoulders. Draw your shoulders away from each other. So notice how that opens your rib cage, opens everything up. So now we've created that expansive, open space for our breath. We've brought our thoughts, our senses, combined them with the breath. And now we're going to go through a little bit of flow. I'm going to walk you through the first phase of it just to give you an idea of what the flow actually consists of. But then I'm just going to be quiet, just cueing the breath so that we are literally, our inhales, we're taking them together, and then the exhales, we're releasing and drawing into our low belly. So let's just find our low bellies very quickly. Take your right thumb, place it on your belly button, and then let your hand rest gently on your abdomen. Take your left hand, place it on top of the other hand. So now inhale, spine long, reaching through your shoulders, and then exhale, drawing into your low belly. And that, when I refer to your low belly, that's the area that we're drawing into. So let's go ahead and get started. Separate your feet a little bit more than hip distance apart. Now draw your arms out to the side, reaching through your shoulders, arms extend in opposite directions. We're going to start to the right. So inhaling, arms reach. Now exhale, pivot to the right, right knee bends, left arm in front, right arm behind, extending arms opposite directions. Inhale, exhale, draw into your low belly. Inhale, come through center. Exhale, pivot to the left. Left knee bends, right arm in front, left behind. Exhale, draw into the low belly. Inhale, come through center. Exhale, right knee bends, left arm in front, right behind, wrapping your arms, looking down at your left foot. Exhale, draw into low belly. Inhale through center, open, radiate. Exhale, left knee bends, right arm in front, wrapping your arms, looking down at your right foot. Inhale through center. Exhale, right knee bends, gazing forward, left arm in front, wrapping your arms. Inhale through center. Exhale, left knee bends, wrapping your arms, gazes forward, draw into your low belly. Inhale, come through center. Exhale, ankles in, cactus arms, sinking your hips, open your elbows and your knees wide. Exhale, draw into your low belly. Inhale, forward fold, arms overhead. Exhale, draw in. Inhale, bring your arms through center, looking up and over your fingers, sinking your hips. Exhale, draw in. Inhale, flying forward, arms up overhead. Exhale, draw in. Inhale, come up through center, radiate. Exhale, go to the left. Left knee bends, right arm extends. Beautiful. Inhale through center. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, gazing at the left foot. Inhale. Exhale, gazing forward. Inhale. Exhale, gazing forward. Inhaling, ankles in. Exhale, cactus arms sinking, drawing in. Inhale, fly your arms up overhead. Exhale, drawing in. Inhale, sink your hips, arms come through. Exhale, fly, arms overhead. Inhale, rise, radiate. Exhale, step or hop back to center. Just take a moment, feel the energy, feel the blood circulating, flowing through your whole body. Taking a moment just to notice the effects, linking your breath with your movement, boosting your immune system, feeling better, having a smile on your face and a song in your heart. May you be safe, may you be healthy. Namaste.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Monica Richardson, and I'm the Senior Managing Editor at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. We're thrilled to have you join us today. We're coming to you today with the third installment of our AJC, Aging in Atlanta Virtual Fall Series. This season, we're focused on practicing wellness in all aspects of our lives, and we're making the most of what we have. Today, we'll be turning our attention to the upcoming holidays, sharing ways to protect ourselves, and ideas for getting friends and family engaged in creating new traditions. We'll also be talking about finances, Medicare, and senior resources. Each panelist will make their own introduction, and then I will have a brief but engaging and informative conversation with each of them. But before we begin, I want to thank the sponsors who have graciously populated our panel of experts today. WellStar Health System, Capital Investment Advisors, Georgia Relay, and Bonnie Dobbs. And now, here's a few words from our presenting sponsor, Kroger.
Kroger is a proud sponsor of the Aging in Atlanta series. And as we head into the upcoming flu season, Kroger is as committed as ever to serving you and your family's health. No one should be left vulnerable to the flu, so don't take the risk. Get your free flu shot today at Kroger, where your health and safety is a priority. Visit Kroger.com/flu to schedule an appointment. That's Kroger.com/flu. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Welcome back. We're going to begin our introductions with Wes Moss. Wes, please introduce yourself to our guest today.
Hi, everyone. This is Wes Moss coming to you from Sandy Springs. I'm the managing partner of Capital Investment Advisors. And for anyone that listens to WSB Radio in Atlanta, 95.5 FM, Atlanta's News and Talk, I'm the host of Money Matters and have been now for over a decade, and also a contributor to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution on Sundays around money-related topics. And great to be here.
Welcome. Next up, Dr. Danny Brandstetter. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Danny Brandstetter. I'm an infectious disease specialist at WellStar Health System. I serve as their medical director for infection prevention, and it's a pleasure to speak with you today about the upcoming holiday seasons and how to stay safe.
Thank you. We're looking forward to it. Now, please welcome Bonnie Dobbs.
My name is Bonnie Dobbs. I know a little bit about Medicare insurance, so for the next 3 hours, not really. I understand just how confusing it is, and my goal is to always speak in simple, understandable terms and to have some fun along the way. I'm honored to say that I have been the Medicare expert for the AJC Aging in Atlanta series for the past 8 seasons.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. And now we have Dr. Rebecca Gomez. Dr. Gomez, welcome.
Thank you, Monica, and hello, Atlanta. My name is Dr. Rebecca Gomez. I am a clinical health psychologist with WellStar, and today I will be speaking with you all about surviving the holidays and staying emotionally well.
Thank you. And finally, please welcome Brendan Underwood.
Thank you, Monica. My name is Brendan Underwood, and I'm the outreach coordinator for a state program called Georgia Relay. Georgia Relay provides free phone services for those who are deaf, hard of hearing, deaf, blind, or have difficulty speaking. And I look forward to telling you more about our services today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for those introductions. We're going to jump right in because we have a lot to get to today. Wes, I'd like to start off our questions with you today. You have a very unique perspective of hearing not only from your clients, but also from your listeners of your radio show that you mention each week, Money Matters. What are you hearing these days? What are people's primary challenges and concerns right now? And how do you think that compares to, let's say, just several months ago?
It's a long list of challenges, and I can tell you the callers, and maybe if you're watching this video, you perhaps listen to WSB Radio or listen to Financial Talk. I'm on Sunday mornings from 9 to 11. In the fall, sometimes we get cut down for an hour because of Georgia football, but for 2 hours every morning, and I've been doing this for well over a decade now, hearing from all of you in Atlanta and the concerns of investors and there's a lot to be worried about as we round out 2020. First of all, we're in a pandemic, of course. We know that. That's been really the majority of this year. And that has become that's not going away anytime too soon. As we're headed into the winter, people are even more worried about that. And the potential, what that does to the areas of the economy that have gotten hit really hard. And of course, there's some real winners in this economy because of COVID, and then there's some industries that are really struggling and losing. So people are worried about that. They're also worried about the election, and whether you're worried about you're on either side of the political spectrum, you can be worried about the other candidate winning, and that is certainly a concern. And then there's this thought of economic stimulus. Congress has been confusing now for really months, talking about stimulus. Are we going to get stimulus? Are we not going to get stimulus? What's the amount of the stimulus? And these there is a long list of unanswered questions. And I do struggle to find a time when the list has been this long of really important, big issues.
So you mentioned heading into the fall. So we're basically at the end of the year. And one of our readers wants to know, should I be investing now or should I just wait till 2021?
Yeah, I think the natural inclination for any investor is to protect and be very leery or weary of any sort of danger or the environment we are in, and this is one of those. Uncertainty is really what hurts markets. Uncertainty leads to fear. Fear leads to people selling. Selling leads to markets selling off. And I think that it's a natural reaction in a period of time where markets are perhaps more uncertain today than they are normally, because they're always uncertain. But I know that this is a period of time when emotions are really, really high for a variety of reasons. Pandemic, election, you name it. But I think what is important is that investors, none of us are investing, particularly I would think on this call, we're not investing for the next 3 months or 6 months or the next year. We're really investing for the rest of our lives. Right? And we want our money and our capital, whether it's from a retirement plan or money we've saved after tax, we want that to be able to generate an income for us for the rest of time and really outpace inflation. We want our money to grow and pay us some sort of income that keeps up with inflation and protects our purchasing power. And really, my opinion is the best way we've seen to be able to do that over many over time, years and decades, which I hope we all have that to invest. Certainly, we're all planning for that. Is to be invested in equities. And one thing stocks, and one thing you can't do successfully, it's been proven over and over and over again, is try to hop in and hop out and hop back into the market just to avoid almost dance between the raindrops. It just doesn't work. So when asked about when do I get invested or should I get out now and get back in later, really my belief is that we have to believe in what we're invested in and stay with it even through these really difficult times. And perhaps for most investors have some sort of balance, consider even buying more into the equity markets, even when things get more difficult, because quite frankly, when stocks are on sale, that's when we're supposed to buy, even though it's the hardest time mentally to do it.
That's actually a great transition to our next question. Are there any portfolio or financial planning recommendations that you're making right now that are dramatically different than, say, what you were recommending maybe last year?
So a couple of things that have started to change. And one, I'm a big believer that the 2021 economy will be really strong. And it may not start out strong as we head into the winter, depending on COVID, depending on the election. There's usually some real uncertainty around that. But I do know that the cloud of COVID will lift, and we will get out of this COVID economy, and the economy will go back to firing on all cylinders again. In fact, in 2021, I think you'll see an economy that is stronger than we've seen in a long, long time, because we have so much economic stimulus coming from the federal government. The Federal Reserve is behind this economy from a monetary perspective in supporting it. And then think about your own list of cancellations that you've made in 2020 and compare that to your list of initiations. And the reality here is that 99% of America has a much longer list of cancellations than 2020 initiations. And I think that the list will flip-flop. I think in 2021, the list of, hey, let's go do this and make up for that will way outweigh what we have to cancel and what we have to cancel in 2021. And that's going to spur tremendous economic activity. And at least that's my take on 2021. As scary as things are today, I really think we could see a very strong economy, regardless of the election, a really strong 2021. So if that's the case, and that's the case that I really believe in, we want to own equities. And number one, stocks that pay dividends. Two, we've seen lower interest rates now than we've almost ever seen in the history of the world, partially because the Federal Reserve has kept rates low to stimulate the economy. So that means bond investments are going to pay very, very little. Not that they're still not conservative and relatively safe. It's just that the rate of return expectation is so low relative to investing in equities for dividends. So this year, heading into 2021, I'm a big believer that we have to see through the cloud of COVID, as scary as that is, and the election, as scary as that is, and understand that a good economy will see a huge repair, in my opinion, for equities going into 2021 relative to a lot of the other choices investors have. And that's really where I'm focused for next year.
Yeah. So this next question, I'm going to be a little bit selfish about it, actually, because I'm interested in this too. Is there an example that you can share of someone who was able to accelerate their retirement date? Talk a little bit about how they did it, what compromise they may have had to make in their portfolio or changes they had to make to the portfolio.
You know, seeing that actually in 2021, ironically, a fair amount of folks retiring ahead of schedule. And you would think, well, how would you do that in such a terrible year? Well, first of all, the market has actually done pretty well this year. It had a huge drop in the beginning of the year and then a big rebound. So the market itself hasn't been bad, actually, number one. Number two, companies, you can think about companies, you hear about big mass either layoffs or downsizings or early retirement packages. You hear about it all the time. And what I've found interesting is that I've seen folks that were maybe scheduled in their own planning to retire at 65, and they're at 62, and they're at one of these companies, and the company says, look, we'll give you a 6-month severance, and we'll give you a bump in your health care for a period of time if you leave early. And I've seen a lot of people take that opportunity now. And it's because typically the companies that are doing that, once they offer it one time, the second offer the next year, because they really are trying to reduce headcount, maybe isn't as good. So you can look at that almost as an opportunity to say, look, it's earlier than I thought. And I've seen a lot of folks around Atlanta do that. One, people got a taste of not having to necessarily go into the office for a couple of weeks or months because of COVID, and they liked it. And they said, let's accelerate this. But it really just comes down to your income and your spending. And if you can perhaps adjust the spending need maybe a little lower than you had thought, you can shave a year or 2 or 3 off of your retirement date. Some of that has to do with planning on how your investments are structured. And right now, we're seeing a lot of income come from companies in the equity market, the stock market, relative to some of the more traditional areas like fixed income or bonds. So I think that's been an opportunity for folks to say, hey, I can meet my income needs. If I rebalance my portfolio, I can retire a year or 2 before I thought, and head into retirement really confidently.
You actually touched some on that next question, and it's about income. What if I need income in this environment? Is there something I can do or something you might recommend I do to my portfolio to structure it differently?
I think I've been an investor now helping families for really well over 20 years. And for that entire period of time, the equation is dividends from stocks, interest from bonds, and then distributions from a variety of other categories like publicly traded real estate or REITs. What's interesting is that during my entire career, interest rates have come lower and lower and lower and lower, stepping lower, and which has been great for bond investors, because not only because when rates come down, bond prices actually come up. So and bond investors have really made a lot of money. The question is over the next 5 years. If interest rates in the 10-year treasury as we speak are for a 10-year treasury bond from the government pays less than 1%, which hurts savers too. So if your CD rates, if you've checked CD rates lately, they're awful. And so I look at that and I say, where else can we find income? And the reality here is that even though the stock market has come back tremendously, the Dow Jones and the S&P 500, the major averages have made huge recoveries. A lot of companies under the hood or within the S&P 500 that are more traditional companies that are not set up, they're not technology companies necessarily, that are set up with a COVID economy tailwind. If you think about a company like Zoom that we're using today is the perfect COVID economy company because it's well positioned to help people do the transition. But this COVID economy and world is not going to last forever, which means that the companies that haven't done all that well in 2020 will, I think, have that headwind removed and actually do really well. So that's where I'm finding income. And I encourage folks to look for some other areas. If you've just been a CD investor or just a bond investor, look to some of the sectors like the utility sector that's lagged way behind, that pays 3 and 4% dividend yields from stocks, could be a real opportunity.
Great tips. Thank you. This final question, you talk a lot about longevity in retirement. What kind of lifestyle should people have in place if they're planning on living and working a long time?
Well, hopefully we'll get some good advice today on how to stay healthy, both physically and mentally, because 2020 has been a taxing year, I think, for so many folks and parents and that have kids at home or virtual. Maybe you've got virtual students at home, which adds another layer on top of having to work, or your grandkids are doing that. The reality here is that I'm a big believer in a happy retirement, and that's a huge part of what we try to help our families do. And that is, you get two sides of the equation. If we can figure out the money side, which quite frankly, I think sometimes is the easier side. If you have a plan of how much money you need and you can structure your investments to solve for that income need on top of Social Security, maybe you have a pension, I think that's the more straightforward part. I think the other part that gets left behind a lot of times is this thought of what am I going to be taking? What's going to be taking up all my time once I stop working? And that comes down to something we call core pursuits. I've written so much about this at the AJC and in my book. You can retire sooner than you think. The 5 money secrets of the happiest retirees. A huge part of that is the happy retiree lifestyle and the habits of happy retirees. And one of them is that happy retirees have, on average, 3.6 what I call core pursuits, or hobbies on steroids, almost 4. The unhappy group has less than 2. And it's a really important piece of the equation to develop those core pursuits so that you have a magnificent and purpose-filled retirement that keeps you curious, keeps you engaged, quite frankly, keeps you mentally healthy and fun. And I think you've got to really consider both sides of that equation. And I'll continue to write my Sunday column, AJC. It's a topic I touch on an awful lot.
Thank you so much, Wes. I think we'll also be looking for those books too. Thank you for that great information. Before we move on, here's something I want our audience to know. Thanks to Kroger, we'll be randomly drawing 2 winners for a $50 Kroger gift card today. From those of you who took the time to register, our winners will be notified after the program. And now, here's a message from Wellstar on the convenience of virtual care.
Visit a healthcare provider from anywhere with Wellstar Virtual Care. Our providers at Wellstar deliver expert primary care and specialty medicine to you in the convenience and comfort of your home. From routine checkups to chronic illnesses, you're just one call or click away from world-class care. Visit wellstar.org to set up your virtual visit. Wellstar, more than healthcare, people care.
And now let's talk to Dr. Brandstetter about staying safe and having fun this holiday season. Dr. Brandstetter, welcome.
Thank you.
My first question is, how can seniors safely celebrate the holidays?
I think the first thing that all seniors need to understand is what are risks based on activity levels. So understanding what is it that you want to do with your family and how risky is that to transmit and acquire the virus. And if you do these activities, what can you do most to stay safe?
Thank you. This next question comes from one of our readers. Do you think air travel is safe for seniors this holiday season?
So air travel is real tricky. So the important thing is on the airplane, the risks are relatively low. So you're wearing your mask. A lot of airlines are spacing people out, but it's all the activities of getting there, getting on the plane, getting through security, getting your baggage, touching common objects in public restrooms. Same thing about other transportations. It's the common objects that we touch and around other people that may not allow us to socially distance. So if you can mitigate those, then you're flying safer, you're traveling safer. But if you can, staying home is still the safest.
Okay, so if I am indoors and I'm celebrating with my family, should I be wearing a mask in the house? Should I be wearing a mask as I'm celebrating general holiday celebrations and traditions?
Yeah, so the key here is, are you doing it with the people you typically live with in your same household? So if you're visiting other households or people are coming over and visiting you that don't typically reside in your abode, then yes, you should technically be wearing a mask to be as safe as possible and socially distancing while you're wearing a mask. If you can meet people out of doors and still stay socially distanced, that's going to be safer, but we're heading into cooler weather, so you're more likely going to need to do things indoors. So then it becomes duration of time spent with people. The longer you spend with individuals outside your household, the more risk that you acquire of getting the virus or transmitting the virus.
So can I keep safe when I'm serving food and drinks to my family and friends? Let's say we do have the mask in place, but people might be worried about what they're eating and what they're drinking, what they're eating and drinking from. So should they be worried about that? What can they know?
One of the simplest ways to combat this very difficult issue for families and friends is bring your own everything. So if you're going over to visit, just bring your meals with you. If you're going to eat together, think about catered prepackaged meals. That way you're not handling each other's food or common objects. Bringing bottled water or other drinks that are single serve so each individual is not sharing different items. All those continue to help us reduce the risk of acquiring the virus while we're enjoying meals together.
All right, great. So one of the things I know that might be concerning some grandparents, for instance, and family members is they have college students in the family. They might be coming home, and we've all read and heard a lot about what's happening on our college campuses. Should we be encouraging college students to self-quarantine, and if so, for how long?
So college campuses right now are a lot of our hot spots throughout the nation. So if you have a college-aged individual who's going to be visiting with you this holiday season, important things to remember are they should quarantine after they've arrived home for 2 weeks. So if you are a college campus, you're at a high risk for getting exposed. So go home, quarantine 2 weeks, and then start your family celebrations. But the key here is you've got to quarantine at home. You can't go out and do other activities that get you an additional exposure once you've arrived home from college. So we know that our college age individuals and young adults really have a hard time staying at home, are more likely to take risk, and are more likely to be mobile and take this virus not only with them, but acquire it and spread it to others.
So say that one more time. I want to make sure people get this. When we say self-quarantine, define that as staying in the house for 14 days.
That is exactly right. Staying in your home, not going out and visiting friends, not going to the movies, not going out to stores, staying at home, hanging out there, getting takeout. If you're going to get takeout, have meals delivered, and not going out to restaurants or bars and individual places where you're meeting other people.
Thank you so much for that clarity. So I'm going to turn the tables just a little bit and talk about the flu shot and the impact of the flu shot. Does getting the flu shot before a holiday gathering provide us additional protection?
Absolutely, it does. So this winter, we're going to be dealing more than just COVID. So we're going to be dealing with influenza as well, which is typical. Typical influenza season for us here in the Southeast is November through March. The influenza vaccine is effective in reducing the likelihood we're getting severely ill from influenza if we take it. So the key is our body has to respond in order to make enough antibodies. That's what we use for protection as humans, enough antibodies to protect us from getting severely ill if we get influenza. And that takes at least 2 weeks. So right now, end of October is the prime time to get your influenza shot. And doing so will reduce the risk of you acquiring it if you get together celebrating holidays.
All right, this next one is from one of our readers, and it has to do with the flu vaccine as well. What if I can't find the high dose flu vaccine right now? Is it better to get the regular flu vaccine or wait for the high dose to be available?
So for older individuals, our seniors, the high dose is the recommended preferred in vaccination for them. However, I would rather them get the standard dosed vaccine and then delay too long getting a flu shot altogether. So if they cannot get access to a high dose flu vaccine shot by the end of this month, I would not delay any further and do the standard vaccine as a substitute this year.
Great, thanks for that information. Turning back to our holiday celebrations, who should avoid in-person celebrations with their family and friends?
So certainly the people who should avoid getting with families and friends are those at highest risk for complications related to COVID. The most challenging part of that is we do not understand everyone who's at high risk. So we have certainly seen completely healthy 20-year-olds die from COVID with no previous known medical complications. So if you know that you have a weakened immune system, heart disease, lung disease, kidney disease, or diabetes, and even obesity, those people should take extra precautions because we know without a doubt they have extra likelihood that they'll have a complication related to COVID. Now, another thing that I think most of your viewers and readers would love to know is there are a predilection for minority populations to develop complications related to COVID. So those in the Hispanic community, Latin community, African American communities, we're seeing them bear the brunt of this virus. And until we get a vaccine, it is more important for those groups to take extra precautions, even during the holiday seasons.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brandstetter. Excellent information and excellent tips. We appreciate that. And now it's that time of the year with Medicare open enrollment upon us. Let's chat with Bonnie Dobbs. Bonnie, why should I use a broker when selecting a Medicare plan? And does it cost me more?
Thank you for asking that. My agency, all of my agents and I are brokers in several states. As a broker, we're contracted with all the major carriers, plus some you probably never heard of before. So when you use a broker, we can compare every plan in your service area. And best of all, there's never a fee for our service. And I'm sure you're going, well, how do you get paid? We are paid a standardized commission by the carriers, so there's no incentive to use one company over another company. And compliance and integrity are most important to me, and I teach my agents those same great ethics. So thank you for asking about that.
And thank you for that answer. So now, what is the difference in a Medicare Advantage plan and a supplement plan? And how do I avoid a penalty?
Now you're making me get serious. Speaking of serious, sometimes whenever I speak and then I write a plan for somebody, they think I'm schizophrenic because whenever I'm speaking, it's fun. I try to make it enjoyable because Medicare is so darn dry, okay? But whenever I'm working with somebody, I get really serious when we're down to the table talking about their plan. So back to your question, what is the difference in a Medicare Advantage and a supplement plan? Well, there's two ways to get insurance that original Medicare doesn't cover, and they work almost polar opposite. So let's start at the beginning. Original Medicare pays 80%. That leaves you owing the Part A and the Part B deductible plus that other 20% with no limit to your out-of-pocket expenses. So there's two ways to offset those costs. One is with a Medicare supplement plan known as a Medigap plan. So those plans help you pay part or all of Part A and B, the deductible, and that other 20%. Now, with a supplement plan, you do have a monthly premium, but then you have little or no out-of-pocket expenses when you need medically necessary treatments. And notice I said medically necessary because that's all that Medicare pays for. Like, they don't pay for facelifts, okay? Another characteristic of a Medigap plan is you can go to any provider in the U.S. that accepts Medicare. Now, with a Medicare Advantage plan, you get all of the benefits of original Medicare Part A and Part B. You may not have a monthly premium, but you pay deductibles, copays, and coinsurance when you use it. You must use a network of doctors, and you must enroll in your service area and use your plan in your service area unless it's an emergency. So if you guys decide to go on vacation and you have an emergency, then it's covered, okay? Medicare Advantage plans also have a maximum out-of-pocket, unlike original Medicare. And Medicare Advantage plans are the most common ones that you see on all the TV commercials that offer like the gym, dental, vision, and hearing, those type things.
Is there anything else you might say about the penalties?
How to avoid a penalty?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, you must enroll in Part B, as in baby, and Part D for drugs when you first become Medicare eligible, and never disenroll. Now, I'm going to say that one more time for those who weren't listening. Enroll in Part B, as in baby, and Part D for drugs when you first become Medicare eligible, and never disenroll. Enroll in Part B, never disenroll. Enroll in Part D, and never go more than 63 days without a plan. Because if you do, you get a penalty, and it's for as long as you have Medicare. Well, how long are you going to have Medicare? As long as you live, right?
Well, let's turn to our next question. It's about POAs. What is a POA, and why do I need one?
Yeah, a POA is a power of attorney. And some people are so broad-minded on this and have such misconceptions. You know, get a POA while you're still of good mind, because a power of attorney does not mean you're losing your power. It simply means that in the event that you can't take care of your affairs, you have designated someone that you trust to take care of your affairs, okay? So, there's been times actually when I could not change a person's policy because there was a crisis of some type and they were not able to act on their own behalf, and we couldn't change the plan because they would never give anybody power of attorney. So please, ladies and gentlemen, think about that.
Thank you. That's good advice. Next, what about the IRMAA and the LIS? Talk to us about those.
Irma and Liz. Nope, they're not two new gals in the neighborhood. IRMA stands for Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. Now, that's based on your filing status, your modified adjusted gross income, and a 2-year look back. If you are single and you can make up to $87,000, or married, filing joint, you can make up to $174,000 and not be subject to IRMA. So just know everybody's not going to have to pay IRMA. However, if you make more than that threshold, you are going to have to pay more for your Part B, as in baby, and your Part D for drugs. So you can find that information or that chart on Medicare.gov, or you can always call my office and we'll be happy to send that chart out for you. LIS is also known as low income subsidy or extra help, and that's for low income individuals, and it helps with drug costs. Once again, it's based on income and assets. Your home and car is not included in your assets, okay? So they're looking for money that's easily accessible, like cash in a bank account or CD.
So you mentioned meds. Do I need a drug plan if I don't take meds?
Yes, you do. You have to have one regardless, just like your mama, just because they said so, you got to have one, okay? But the real reason you need to also get a prescription drug plan is because if you don't, you're going to get a penalty, okay? However, the other reason is, say you don't get a plan and you get the flu, or God forbid, you develop a serious condition that requires ongoing meds, you're going to be out of luck because there's only specific times when you can enroll, and you'd have to wait until you qualified for one of those established enrollment periods. And that could be up to a year away. So don't risk a penalty. Enroll in a drug plan and never go more than 63 days without one.
All right, thank you. And if I have Medicare and Medicaid, why do I need the plan in the first place?
I know what you're thinking. I don't pay anything, so why do I need a plan? Well, listen up, Buttercup. You want to get one so you can receive more benefits. You can get dental, vision, hearing, gym, over-the-counter, transportation, food vouchers, personal response devices. I call those I've fallen and can't get up devices, okay? And if you live alone, those are really important. Meals after a hospital stay. Just remember, each plan's offerings differ company, and they have to be your service area specific. So get those additional benefits.
Thanks, Bonnie. Now, this last question. My company offers COBRA after I retire. Which is better, COBRA or Medicare?
Depends. And I bet nobody says that word more than me, but nobody does what I do, right? Or few people do what I do. So actually, it depends on how much you're going to pay. Sometimes the companies will pay the COBRA for their employees, and other times the employee has to pay. So see a broker to compare cost on that.
All right. Thank you so much, Bonnie, for that great information. So now we're going to move to another popular and important topic. Let's talk with Dr. Gomez about the ways to keep family and friends connected. Dr. Gomez, hello.
Hello, Monica.
So how can we prevent depression, isolation, and loneliness in seniors in particular during the holidays?
Well, Monica, I'm going to actually start by saying something that people might not want to hear, and that is that feeling down during the holidays, feeling lonely during the holidays is actually pretty normal, especially for an aging population. And the reason for that is holidays are times where you think about loved ones who may have passed, or you're feeling that yearning for connection to others who might not be local to you. So it's okay to feel sad during the holidays. Now, that being said, what's not okay is allowing that sadness to keep you from engaging in life. So with that, I really encourage people to do a few things. Engage in self-care. Some of those core pursuits, as Wes would have referred to earlier, what are those things that bring you joy? Are you still doing them? Are you still taking care of yourself just from a daily routine standpoint? And are you staying connected? COVID has made connection a little bit more challenging, so we have to get creative. So are you feeling disconnected, feeling isolated? Well, if you are, you have to reach out and ask for what you need. People are not going to be great mind readers. So if you're feeling disconnected, make that first call. Reach out to someone. Let them know that you want their support or want to talk or engage in some activity together. So reach out. Another thing to do is stay connected in maybe less traditional ways, or even going back to even more traditional ways. So families, sending cards and pictures or drawings from kids to your elder generations, or getting connected virtually and engaging in some maybe revamped or new holiday traditions. It's so important to, when you do those virtual connections, make sure that you make them meaningful. Make sure that there is something there that keeps everyone engaged and it goes beyond the small talk. So families maybe have a Zoom cooking series where Aunt Sue can share her favorite famous recipe and have her teach it over Zoom so everyone can share in that this holiday. Or if you have something that you enjoy personally, there's so many avenues to do things with others virtually. Painting, decorations. There's so many things that you can continue to do even if you are stuck at home.
Well, thank you for those tips. So let's say I do all that. I try all that and it just doesn't work for me. It's just not enough. Are there any other special resources to help with mental health and wellness during these holiday season?
So there's a lot of resources out there, whether it's a website and or applications. There's so many apps for that. Within Georgia, here in our local area, the Department of Human Resources and the Division of Aging Services, the mouthful, but their website actually has a lot of great resources. The GeorgiaHealthMatters.org is another one of those websites. Senior Services often has a list of things that are available to seniors within their local community. So check those websites out. Other than some of those websites, there are apps for, again, everything. So if you are feeling stressed out and you're feeling maybe a little down, so check out some of the apps like Headspace, Calm, Relax Melodies. All of those give you different tools to just help you kind of refocus and recenter. Or if you want to connect virtually with family and friends, there are so many game apps that allow you to challenge and interact with people in real time. So check those out. AARP has an application that also has some helpful information. Again, no matter what you want to do, there's an app for that. So get on the phones and check them out.
All right, thank you. So with COVID, a lot of people have really set up routines. It's become common to have a routine. But what are some suggestions you have for creating a holiday routine and prioritizing your mental health as a part of that routine process?
And of course, as we've been talking, it's not just about physical health, but from an emotional standpoint or a mental health standpoint, again, continuing with that self-care, continue engaging with others, continue doing those things that bring you that sense of joy. If you can make sure you do a little bit of something every day, even if it's 5 minutes to 2 hours, whatever it might be, just engage in something every day that brings you a little bit of emotional wellness. And last but not least, do what you can to avoid unnecessary holiday stress.
Thank you. That actually leads to our next question. And it's, what are some of the techniques to reduce holiday stress? You talked earlier about meditation, for instance. Is there something else you might recommend?
So when it comes to the holidays, a lot of holiday stress comes from procrastination, overcommitment, and unrealistic expectations. So when it comes to procrastination, y'all start now. You know when the holidays are coming. Start now. Plan what you can. Purchase in advance. Prepare in advance as much as you can. Don't wait until the day before or even the night before you have a holiday gathering to go out and run your errands. Prioritize your schedule. Again, it's so easy to overload your schedule with different things, activities, obligations, travel. All that stuff adds up from a time perspective. So prioritize what's important to you and then make sure those things get onto your calendar. Whatever can be left off, go for it. Leave it off. Delegate wherever you can. And that might be asking family members to help with a certain task or, purchasing pre-prepared foods so that it's less cooking on obligation for you. Give every single family member a task. no matter their age, no matter what they're capable of doing, everyone can do something. So allow them to help in whatever the holiday preparations might be. And last but not least, remind yourself that holidays are not going to be perfect. So if we set ourselves up with this unrealistic expectation of just Hallmark movies, remember, Hallmark movies come with a script and they come with a grand budget. So allow yourself to just go with the flow, roll with whatever the day brings, and try not to put too much pressure on yourself to have perfection at all times.
Thank you for that, Dr. Gomez. I've actually got a sticker on my computer that says, allow yourself grace. And I think that's what you... So one of our readers has this last question for you, and it's someone who's helping a parent with dementia. Mm-hmm. And that parent has recently moved in with them, moved into the home, and they're trying to get acclimated to the new setting. What can they do to help their parent under these conditions? How can they help them get acclimated and engaged?
Absolutely. And for those of you who saw the last episode of this series, you saw my colleague, Dr. Kirk Bryant, who did a wonderful presentation on brain health. And I actually reached out to him to get some really helpful information for this. So in his short answer, have a schedule, keep things in the same place, and schedule fun activities. To expand upon that, having a predictable and consistent environment and routine is comforting, especially for someone who is coming into a new space and is having to learn these new routines. So create a structure, create a routine, invite your parent to participate in whatever activities they can, laundry, dishes, putting dishes away so that they know where things are. The more that you can engage them, the more that they can learn their space, the less anxiety, the more comfortable they feel, and the more they feel like they can actually step up and contribute, because everybody likes to feel like they're contributing. Another component is keep things in the same place. TV remotes, keys, phones, furniture even, keep things in the same place so it's predictable.
Well, thank you, Dr. Gomez. I'm a firm believer that our mental health is as important as our physical health, so we appreciate that information. And now we'll take a quick break.
Imagine retirement living at its best, doing what you want to do every day. The newly opened independent living apartment homes at the Villas at Canterfield have it all, and it's all included in your monthly fee. Enjoy 31 gourmet meals served in the restaurant-style fine dining room. Play a friendly round of cards, a challenging game of billiards, or enjoy happy hour with your friends in the cozy clubroom. Work out at your own pace and on your own schedule in the upscale fitness center. Swim laps in the heated covered swimming pool, or feel free to lounge away your afternoon poolside with a good book. Oh, and don't forget our on-site beauty salon, concierge services, and scheduled activities with transportation. Did I mention the movie theater? And when your active day is through, relax in your graciously appointed apartment home where every detail has been carefully planned with your comfort and contentment in mind. And your apartment home brings new meaning to the term maintenance-free because weekly housekeeping service is included. The Villas at Canterfield offers refined retirement living at its best. And for you, your best days yet to come.
Finally today, let's chat with Brendan Underwood about some great resources you may not know much about. Brendan, welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about Georgia Relay? I know our readers are interested in how seniors can modify their environments to stay home a little longer. So talk a little bit about what is Georgia Relay?
Sure. Yeah. Again, thank you, Monica, for having me today. As I said earlier, Georgia Relay is a state program. We provide a variety of free phone services that target speech and hearing difficulties. And so as the outreach coordinator, my job is to educate people on our services and the Georgia Relay program. Now, as it relates to seniors and what we're all kind of going through right now with COVID, we're all being asked to somewhat distance ourselves, or, maybe someone's sick and you don't want to see them. So there's a lot more lack of connectivity, in-person connectivity, I should say. And so our services are helping people to stay connected. For example, if you need to hear from your doctor, our services are helping people to stay connected with their doctors or their friends and their family, which during this time is such a key important thing, that feeling of connectivity. So yeah, we are very happy, and in terms of our service, it's currently during COVID, it's been at an all-time high. Our call centers have been staying busy throughout this, and we've had to modify some of what we do behind the scenes to facilitate the call volume that we get. So yeah, we've seen a spike in our services, and we're just happy that we're helping people stay connected ultimately.
Thank you for that. That's awesome. I want to start with one of those great resources you have. It's the caption telephone. What exactly is the caption telephone?
That's a great question. So of all of our services, I would say that caption telephone service is our most widely used service. And the simple way of explaining it is you have your telephone, and attached to it is a screen. So as you're carrying on a conversation, you have the phone, you're hearing what you can hear, but if you're missing some of the details throughout, you can follow along on the screen with you. Caption telephone, we call it CapTel for short, it's an amazing service. If you have difficulty hearing, right? If you're hard of hearing, this is probably one of the most likely services that you would use. And the best part about the service, as well as the equipment, is that it's all free.
Oh, that was my next question. So thank you for that. So the equipment, just to clarify, the equipment and the service is free.
Yeah, so I do want to make one thing clear. So Georgia Relay, we provide phone service for speech and hearing difficulties. So all of the service is free. Within that, some of our services require specialized equipment, such as a CapTel phone. And so for a CapTel phone, there's a couple of different ways of acquiring one. The easiest way is there's a third-party certification. And what happens with this is it's a form that your doctor would verify your hearing loss. And that can be a general doctor, that can be a hearing healthcare professional, that can be an audiologist. But when the doctor approves and verifies your hearing loss, it qualifies you for a free telephone. And beyond that, the only thing you would need is internet and landline service. Outside of that, you can also certainly just purchase the phone. It's a one-time fee for $75. And then we also work closely with another state program. They're the equipment distribution program, the Georgia Center for Deaf and Hard of Hearing. And we work closely with them because a lot of our clients, they need help with phone service. That means they need help with other things like alarms, like doorbells. So they have a lot of other assistive devices as well. And those three different ways are probably the best way to get the equipment into your hands.
Thank you. So are there other services that Georgia Relay provides? Can you talk about those?
Yeah, sure. We have hearing carryover, voice carryover, speech to speech. All of these services are also available in Spanish as well. One thing I wanted to highlight today was with speech to speech. So speech to speech is going to be for an individual who has difficulty with speaking. And it's one of our only services that doesn't require any additional equipment. So, if there's any difficulty with using the phone, this is a service that you don't have to wait to get set up. You can use it right away. The other thing I want the AJC subscribers to just be aware of is we have a variety of different services based on an individual's needs. Today, I've mentioned a lot specific to phone line service, but there are also certainly other options out there that we have that don't require internet or don't require a physical landline phone as well. So what I want all the subscribers to take away is that we have options based on your needs.
All right, that's great. Thank you. And so how can people get a phone or more information about these resources? Do they need to go through, you mentioned going through the physician earlier. Do they have to do that?
So yeah, that's a great question. I think the best way for your subscribers to get more information is visiting our website, georgiarelay.org. There you're going to see a breakdown of the various services that we provide. There'll be links if there's equipment that is needed on that end. And ultimately, you don't have to go to a physician. We have it now set up, especially thanks to COVID, where the form that I was describing earlier, it can all be done electronically now with a click of a button from your doctor. So for those of you who are thinking, oh, now I have to set up another appointment to go to the doctor right now, that's actually not the case. So yes, you will need to go through the doctor to verify your hearing loss, but you don't necessarily have to do that in person.
Okay, thank you very much. And just in case, because I know we have some readers outside of Georgia, is there something equivalent in other states that you might recommend? Does it exist, I guess?
That's a great question. So yes, every state has to have a program like Georgia Relay. And so if you are in the state of Georgia, no matter what phone you call, if you dial 711, it will connect you with Georgia Relay. And so to answer your question, similar programs are occurring in every state. It may not be the same, the way we carry it out ourselves, but every state has to have a program like this. It's a requirement because of the Americans with Disabilities Act back in the 90s.
Okay, thank you so much. I know we have some readers outside of Georgia, so I wanted to get to that. And then this last question actually comes from a reader. Does that cap phone that you talked about earlier work only on landline, or can I use it with my mobile phone as well?
That's a great question. And I'm glad that subscribers are reaching out and asking those questions. So specific to a cap telephone, there are a lot of different options. To keep it simple, the answer is you don't have to have a landline. There are mobile options available. That could be your laptop, your computer, a touchscreen, cell phone. There are certainly options out there. I would again encourage you to visit our website where you can find more about those options.
All right. Thank you very much for educating us on that great program and great information, Brendan.
Thank you for having me, Monica.
I want to thank all of our excellent panelists today, but before we end, I'd like to take a moment to circle back around to everybody and just get a closing thought from each of you. If there's one thing you want to leave our audience with, what would it be? And Brendan, I'm going to start with you.
Sure. Again, Monica, thank you for having me today. The one thing that I would say, kind of summarize everything, is that I feel like we all know someone who struggles as they use the phone, whether it's hearing or speaking. And so maybe this isn't something that affects you specifically, but again, keep in mind others. As I travel the state, the thing I hear most frequently is that I've never heard of that such a program like this even exists. So I would encourage you all to think of others. If it doesn't affect you, certainly you know someone else who is affected by this. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you. Dr. Gomez, you talked a lot about mental health and mental wellness. What can you share?
Yeah, I just want to encourage everyone to remember that 2020, COVID, this is a season in our lives, and seasons come and seasons go. And so try not to put so much weight on this year's celebrations. There will be many more celebrations. Holidays come back around each year. And it's okay if you need to delay a celebration or do things differently. Make those new memories, make some new traditions, continue to share the joy with your loved ones, and just participate throughout this holiday season.
Thank you so much. And Bonnie, our Medicare expert.
Go to seminars, read Medicare and You 2021, neuter your pets, and before leaving your house, always double check to make sure your clothes are not on inside out. This little tidbit is for my audience, people about my age. Stay safe, and until next time.
Dr. Brandstetter, any last words?
Thank you, Monica. It's been a pleasure to be with you all today. I want everyone to remember there are safe ways to help celebrate your holidays this year. Important is virtual is the safest. Stay home. But if you're not, wear your mask out while you're in public, socially distance, make sure you wash your hands, use hand hygiene and hand sanitizers, wipe down commonly touched areas, and certainly stay home if you're sick, get tested if you've been exposed, and get your flu shot.
Thank you, Dr. Brandstetter. And finally, Wes Moss.
Yeah, so I would say, thank you, Monica. I would say a couple of things. First of all, good advice from our panel as we head into the holidays. We want to stay safe. Bonnie's reminded us to keep our clothes on, which is probably good advice, particularly over the Thanksgiving holiday. And then I think I would go back to also what Rebecca said, or Dr. Gomez said about, psychologically, this is 2020 is a tough year, but it's also a season in our lives. And that, I think that really applies to what we're thinking about as we invest. We think, gosh, this is such a tough year. So many things are going wrong, so many uncertainties. And that very well is the case, or may be the case. But the reality is that this storm of COVID that is impacting the economy, which is what I'm looking at, it's not going to last forever. And when that lifts and we go back into a more normal pre-2020 economy, this is really the most productive, effective economy on the planet, period. And that's why I continue to have such faith in being able to invest in that for the next 10 years and 20 years and 30 years. And I think it's really important to remember, as tough as this season is for investors and as scary as it is, there will be much better days ahead. And really, in all likelihood, those better days are closer than we might think. So just remember that as you think about making adjustments to your investments, to your planning. And if it's hard to do that, of course, we're here to be able to help do that. And I think it's critically important to be able to make sure you have a good plan so you can stay on track. So, but thank you everyone for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I want to extend a thank you to all of our panelists for the great information and for the laughs. We appreciate it. In closing, we want to thank again our sponsors who made today's program possible. Kroger, Wellstar Health System, Wes Moss at Capital Investment Advisors, Bonnie Dobbs, and Georgia Relay. We'd also like to recognize the other sponsors who support the AJC's Aging in Atlanta series throughout the year. Be sure to visit ajc.com/aging for updates on senior living topics and a recorded broadcast of today's event. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again in the spring for another AJC Aging in Atlanta series. We believe these events are part of our mission, a part of our core mission to celebrate community and share and keep our communities informed. It's also a way to give back to you, our valued newspaper subscribers, who help fund our journalism and our journalists. Have a great week, everyone.